what is the current portfolio construct? I mean, how is the AUM scattered across themes? Are you sitting on a bit of cash because you're a bit worried, because you mentioned that in some cases valuations are hitting the exit valuation levels as well? What is the construct currently?
Sure. So again, we are bottoms up. So wherever we find value and growth, mainly the first thing is the growth, and at that reasonable valuation is what we look for. Where we are finding growth is in API CRAMS kind of a pharma play, capital goods, real estate, the real estate ancillary plays, real estate financing, or building materials, which I've been talking about, which are used in construction of, say, warehouses, factories, because that capex is picking up, and that will continue at least until we have that 15% tax rate by March 24, right? So that plus PLI scheme, there is a time bound plan. If we apply for a PLI, then you have to put up the capex. So I think there are a lot of triggers for capex. So our portfolio is more geared towards, if it's domestic oriented, more capex oriented, and if it's export oriented, more to do with the niche pharma, not the generic pharma, but the niche pharma and real estate. Those are the themes where we are finding pretty good growth. Valuations are reasonable. I wouldn't say they are really attractive or really expensive. They are somewhere in between, which is fine. And because I think the fundamentals are way better than average, so average multiples are okay for that.
Interesting. A lot of portfolios are also starting to bite into stories like defense after a lull, and because of this whole Europe plus one conversation as well. There is again a move towards specialty chemicals. There is some exposure that people are taking to autos because they've had such a long underperformance over the last 5 years. Do you like these at all? Just trying to get that out of the way before we move to the portfolio itself.
Right. See, I mean, we generally are, we do not run after, or we don't preempt, themes. So defense, we have seen so many sort of fake starts in the past, maybe 15 years, that we are still skeptical. I mean, it could really play out, but that's okay. If the defense theme really plays out, I'm sure it will last for multiple years. And even if you miss out on the first year or so, it's okay. But I think when you get in, at least you need the high probability kind of company, where it will play out in a long-term structural story. It shouldn't be just the expectation which plays out, and then we realize that they are really not making profits. I'm sure orders may flow through, but what kind of profits they will generate is still, a question mark, right? And whenever there is a government as a customer, that is a worry, and so it generally doesn't fit into our kind of style right now. Europe, a lot of people are talking about it, but you never know how long. Is it a structural story or is it just a short-term sort of a blip, right? And specialty chemical is a good theme, and we have played it for many years. It's just that they have become expensive, so you need to be very, very picky today. Where you need to make sure that they are not just getting benefited by what's happening in, say, in Europe or what's happening in China. There are some shutdowns, and it's a real. I mean, they need to be the most efficient player, irrespective of just having pure lucky periods because of some shutdown somewhere else, that they just making more profit. If you are convinced that they are the most efficient players, I think that theme has a lot of room to play out. So whether it's a niche specialty chemical players or niche pharma API CRAMS kind of players, and we are just sticking to those themes. And with that comes in underperformance, sometimes in the short run, and you got to be patient and take that risk. Otherwise, if you keep on running behind each and every new themes that keeps on coming around, yes, maybe you will get good performance in the short run, but in the long run, you pay for it, because you're just jumping around from one boat to another, and better to stay in a very steady state boat, which that it will reach the final destination much faster than jumping around. And that's what we try to stick with.